I'm about to say the unsayable, a faux pas, something that you probably will never hear me say, or at least probably never thought that I would say. Um, don't start a YouTube channel. Don't start a YouTube channel in 2025. There are a number of reasons why you should not start a YouTube channel, which I'm going to cover. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you if you want to start a YouTube channel, how you should do it so that you can actually be successful. My name's Alston Godbolt, and I have 7 or 8 YouTube channels at this point. They're all in various levels of success. Some of them have like 200 subscribers. Some of them have 15,000 subscribers. I am in a variety of niches, including travel, make money online, as you can see, security cameras, teaching people how to start YouTube channels. I'm kind of all over the place. So I have a pretty good knowledge of what's working, what isn't working, and I want to share that information with you. So there's a number of reasons why I don't think you should start a YouTube channel. Number one is most people are providing general knowledge and information. For the most part, you can get that general knowledge and information from not only the millions of YouTube channels already out there giving that general information, but also from AI. You can get much of the general knowledge and information from like ChatGPT. You can get it from whatever AI software that you have. So that's part one. That's one of the biggest issues that people are running to when they're starting a YouTube channel. The information that they're giving is very, very general. Number two is the faceless YouTube channels. In addition to them being general, it's much easier and cheaper to spit out hundreds, if not thousands of videos in a relatively short amount of time. So there is so much more competition in every single niche, and normally competition is a good thing. However, if people are putting out bad AI content mixed with good AI content, mixed with good and bad branded content, it dilutes the marketplace. It dilutes the attention that YouTube viewers have, right? There's only so many hours that a person can watch YouTube, and a couple things are happening. If they're watching an AI video and they don't like it, let's say they watch 2 AI videos, they get frustrated, they give up, and then they go to a different platform, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Or, you're fighting and you're creating generalized videos, and you're fighting as a branded account I call face showing cameras branded accounts. You're fighting for space against an AI video that is as good as you are, if not better. You're going to kind of lose that battle because essentially people can make more of those than you can make these videos. And so there's a lot more competition, both internally and externally. Which is something that I don't think YouTube was prepared for. In fact, YouTube is fighting with itself. Oftentimes, YouTube Shorts are fighting with YouTube long form. Even though they're supposed to be different algorithms and they should be separated. Oftentimes, you can see that they're mixed in. And again, excuse me, time and attention is being diverted. And so that's something that you've got to be aware of also. Not only is YouTube fighting with itself, it's also fighting with Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter and TikTok and Kick and Reddit. There's every platform now is a video sharing platform. Before, it was just YouTube as the video sharing platform, but now you're competing against Twitch. You're competing against Twitch, which is live streaming. You're competing against, as I mentioned, all of these other platforms where you can upload a variety of content. And so that's not something that I think YouTube was prepared for. And a lot of YouTubers weren't prepared for, because in the past, if you were kicked off of YouTube, that was kind of it. But now we're seeing YouTubers who are being kicked off of YouTube and then they're reemerging on a different platform. This is kind of distracting me here a little bit. They're kicked off the platform and then they're reemerging somewhere else. And I don't think that's something that YouTube is prepared for. Also, what I'm seeing a lot of people frustrated with the amount of ads that are on YouTube. There's a Reddit community where people are just throwing their hands up and they're saying there's too many ads. Now, As YouTubers, we have a little control over that. But if you turn on automatic ads, YouTube controls how many ads are placed. And let's say you upload a 20-minute video, there might be an ad every 2 minutes, starting at the 1 minute mark. And if you do the math, obviously you know that there's 7, 8 ads potentially, and that can overwhelm, that can frustrate the viewer. And so, like I said, there's a lot of internal and external pressures that I don't think YouTube was necessarily prepared for. Another thing is the algorithm changes. And when I say algorithm, and when you hear the word algorithm, think consumer demand. Consumers are kind of like a pendulum, or a cycle, a life cycle. At one point, consumers wanted lots of stuff on the screen, flashes, music in the background. They wanted text on the screen. They wanted lots of stuff changing frequently to keep their attention. Eventually, people are getting tired of that. And there's evidence of that. People are getting tired of it. You can call it like the Mr. Beast effect, or maybe even like the major motion pictures. Think Iron Man, or think Marvel. How something's constantly changing, whether they're changing the frame, or they're changing the camera angle, or there's something exploding in the background. A good portion of the people are getting tired of that. I would also say you've got to take into consideration the changing demographic. YouTube consumers are older than they've ever been, right? A guy like me, I'm 41. There are people that have been on YouTube for 20 years. There have been people that have consumed YouTube content for 20 years. I'm not sure how old YouTube is, but let me just look that up because I don't like being wrong. How old is YouTube? YouTube is 20 years old. Okay, so there's people like me that have been watching YouTube for 20 years, and there's probably a little fatigue there. And so that demographic isn't necessarily dying off. They might have changing importance. Things that are important to might be changing or evolving or moving on to different platforms. I mentioned the competition, algorithm changes, so the consumer demand. Now, in my opinion, from my experience, what I'm seeing is people want more of just the honesty, the straight talk, and information based on experience. I think that is really important, and that's often being omitted when you look around. And before I jumped on, I went and took a look at the types of videos that were performing poorly, like channels that were performing not as well as they used to, like channels that have millions of subscribers that aren't getting the same views within the first 24 hours. Some that are doing well, some that aren't. And the things that are working really well, in my experience, are people talking based on their experience. They actually have that knowledge, skills, and experience that they can fall back on, and they can tell stories based on that. And the other thing that's working well right now is like kind of IRL, in real life. Things that are actually happening in real life. Court cases that are real court cases. For example, one of the guys that I watch is called Audit the Audit. And he's still doing very well because these are actual court cases that he can point to. He's, interweaving security camera, dash cam, body cam into his content, and it's still, doing well. So like I said, changing consumer demand. Also another big one is that views are no longer, and they haven't been for a while, they're no longer based on subs. For example, my videos, from a personal standpoint, my click-through rate for my videos is the same. But because of changing consumer demand, whether it's the group of people that subscribed to me before, they're no longer on YouTube, or they've evolved into something else. I personally am getting less views on this channel, but I'm getting more views on other channels, which is kind of interesting and weird. And I'll tell you why I think that is, and how you can implement that if you decide to go onto YouTube. So when you throw all of that into a pot, it's kind of easy to see. You can draw the line, say, okay, I'm not going to start a YouTube channel, I might do something else. But there's a lot going on both internally and externally that you've got to be aware of before you decide to start a YouTube channel, because it is a huge, big commitment. You are going to be committing a lot of time up front. You are going to be you're going to be committed to learning and developing new skills. You are going to be committed to getting frustrated, getting annoyed, getting angry, and doing research. It's a big commitment. You don't just stand up and say, I'm going to be a YouTuber, and all of a sudden start making money. There's a lot of planning and stuff that goes into it. So anyway, let me just make sure, because like I said, AI, algorithm changes, competition, internal, external. I think one of the biggest mistakes YouTube made was not making a separate app for YouTube Shorts. I think that was a huge mistake, a huge oversight that they should have done a long time ago. It's too late now because they've interwoven it. But I personally, obviously, it's a personal feeling that they should have said, okay, we're going to make a YouTube Shorts app, and we're going to push people to go to that app instead. Because if they're willing to go to TikTok or to Instagram or LinkedIn or Twitter, whatever it is, they're going to be willing to go to YouTube. And you might, the pushback might be, well, people don't want another app. But if you look at YouTube, the number one, they promote two things very well. They promote YouTube Music, and they promote YouTube Premium. That's literally, when you open the app, they're like, hey, get a subscription of YouTube Music. How about YouTube Music? You like videos about basket weaving? How about YouTube Music to accompany it? And so if they wanted to, they could have been very successful. They could have slapped a YouTube Shorts ad at the top of every search result and would have forced people to do it, right? Anyway, so with that being said, all of those things, I've got like 6 things written down here. You can still start a YouTube channel in 2025 and be successful. However, you've got to be more strategic. Gone are the days where you can just start a channel, take a look at the videos that are in your niche. First and foremost, gone are the days where you can just start a channel and pump out content and expect to be successful right away. What I think you should do is take a look at your niche down first and foremost. And what I mean by niche down is, a lot of people will say, okay, do health, wealth, relationships, and technology. But inside of health, you've got people that want to lose weight, people that want to gain weight, people that have underlying health conditions. For example, I'm diabetic. You've got people that want to maybe like eat healthy. And then inside of healthy eating, you've got different types of diets. Atkins diet, keto diet, what's the carnivore diet? You've got all of these sub diets out there. And so what I would do is I would focus on, okay, inside of health, I'm going to focus on nutrition, food. And then inside of nutrition, I'm going to do, I'm going to do diets. And then inside of diets, I'm going to focus on the carnivore diet, for example. And then to make it even more unique and specific, because we want to go for specificity. I think one of the big issues that people are one of the big problems that people are having is they're not specific enough. In fact, I've noticed that when I've become more specific, I've been able to generate 100,000 views on videos. I've been able to pick up subscribers quickly, but be more specific. So instead of just creating content like how to start the carnivore diet, you might create a video like how to start a carnivore diet if you are a 40-year-old man, or you want to focus on carnivore for 40-year-olds, or carnivore for women who are pregnant, or something like that. Try and get more specific. I think that is the key to being successful in 2025, because the mistake that a lot of people make is they want to try and grab as big of the pie as possible. And I think that's wrong. What we've got to realize, and what you've got to remember, is there are 4 billion people that have access to the internet. 4 billion. And a lot of people try and make content to speak to that 4 billion people. That's wrong. What you want to do is you want to try and find out of those 4 billion people, maybe 2, 3, or 4,000 people that you are talking to, because 2, 3, 4,000 people will help you reach the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. So I guarantee you, out of 4 billion people, there's probably 5,000 people, 5,000 men who are in the 40 to 50-year-old range that want to learn about keto diet. They've heard about it on other social media platforms, and they want more information. So if you focus on that core 5,000 people, just because you are talking to those people doesn't mean that a 35-year-old isn't going to watch the video because it says for 40-year-olds. In fact, the opposite happens. The video will first be sent out to, think about it like a little circle. First, that video is going to be sent out to your core audience of keto men, carnivore men that are between the ages of 40 and 50. You get a pretty good watch time there. You get a pretty good click-through rate. Then it's going to be sent out to people that are a little bit bigger. So maybe instead of just the people that are between 40 and 50, maybe it's then sent out to people that are between 35 and 55, right? People watch it there. And then another circle happens where it gets sent out to people that are 30 and 60. And so eventually you start reaching more and more people just by focusing on your core audience of 40 and 50. That's what I'm seeing is working for me. Is going more specific instead of general. General information can be found literally anywhere. It is everywhere. Reddit, all these different social media places. But if you create a video that says how to start the carnivore diet for men over 40, that offers a level of detail and specificity that they aren't able to find, because they're going to watch that video and say, or they're going to see the thumbnail and say, I'm 40 years old. I wonder what this video has that the other videos that are more general, what they don't have. And when you approach it that way, I think the core audience is there. I also think it helps if you show out your face on camera. You don't have to. This is a lot of the videos that I have, I don't show my face on camera. But if you want success in 2025, which still can be had, there's a person that's getting started today that will be really successful in 2025. You want your own stories. You want specific. You want consistent. You want the ability to improve. And you want to be persistent. Because what usually happens is your first 10 or 20 videos, you're not going to get any views. Think of it as a test. It's a test to see how consistent you're going to be. If you are consistent, you get 50 views up, or you get 50 videos up. YouTube says, oh, okay, this person's willing to be consistent. Let me test this a little bit wider. I also think it can help if you take your videos and break them up into slices and put them on different social media platforms, repurpose them across multiple platforms. But in 2025, you got to stop with the general content. For example, just travel tips, right? I can go to TikTok right now and say, or I can go to TikTok, I can go to ChatGPT and say, give me 20 travel tips. But there might not be as many options out there for, on YouTube, 20 travel tips for parents of twins, we'll say. And because there isn't as much information out there, you're not going to be fighting against so many people. There are still lots of families that have twins. I can assure you that we've got twins. And make sure that you connect with stories, connect with social proof, and be consistent. So, should you start? Obviously, I think you should start. The worst thing that could happen if you don't start, you're in the exact same place that you're in now, which is not making any money, which is frustrated, angry, tired, and annoyed. If you do start, only good things can happen. You learn skills, You get better at content creation. You might mess around and start building a following, and you might mess around and start making some money. So definitely start and get started. Let me know if you guys have any questions, but this is a really important discussion that we should have that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, and that's why I wanted to bring it to you today. Thanks for watching. You guys have a great day. Oh, I need to do my thumbnails. I think I'm going to do this one. And then I think I'm going to have like don't start down at the bottom. All right, you guys have a great day, and we'll talk soon.